He's looking pretty quick this weekend. There's the man we're all watching, Ryle Harris, the Tap Out Energy Ute, as it pulls up a bit further back in the pack. The reverse grid race, this one. We've taken 9, flipped them around and chucked them on the grid. And would you believe it, Reece McNally ends up getting the draw to go off the front row alongside Gary Baxter in his last ever race.
I mean, it shows that aggression from McNally has paid off. You know, he's a championship contender and he's doing all the right things that we expect to see from a guy of that calibre.
He needs to cash in on this race. Further back through the field, Jeremy McLeod, Maverick, as we call him, he's been up in the skies. We'll tell you a bit more about that one as we go through. Dylan Thomas having a first here this weekend. Adam Marjoram in a different car to the one that we saw wrecked earlier. He's in a different of the Williams Race Tech Utes.
Yeah, and they've been struggling with overheating gremlins and all that sort of thing right through the weekend. So let's hope he's got it figured out for race 2.
Good to see Michael Arman and Jack LeBrock on the grid as well. A couple of young guns in the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series making a return to the series for those two as we get set for race 2, the reverse grid race. Baxter alongside McNally. The Stratco Ute is going to be tight. It looked like maybe Baxter had the jump. How are we going to go with this long run down into turn 1?
Absolutely neck and neck. Look at that. These guys are side by side. I'd say McNally's probably got the edge here if he holds it out, but tell you what, Gary Baxter's not going to let it happen easily.
Gee, tough racing. They're still side by side. They managed to just rub mirrors without fencing each other. Good stuff further back through the field, and once again looking clean. The approach to the turn 2, 3 and 4 chicane, and it's McNally who's going to be bravest under brakes.
There's the old salty old sea dog, Gary Baxter. He knows he's not going to gain anything by going around the outside there, so he's done a smart move in my opinion, solidified himself in second, and is just ahead of our championship leader, Ryle Harris.
So this is good news for Harris. He's right where he wants to be right now. He's got the majority of his championship contenders in his mirrors, but that was desperate stuff for the Stratco Commodore. Needed to lead this race, has to win it to have any hope. Now, Ryle Harris, in terms of the championship, needs to have a 36-point advantage. If they stay the way they are right now, we'll crunch the numbers, but it's looking like it's going to be pretty close to that.
These guys are not leaving an inch on the walls even on this first lap. One of the guys that I saw who was really fast through practice and wasn't quite so fast in qualifying, Ryan Hansford. I keep an eye on him throughout this race. He's definitely got a lot of pace.
Yeah, it was a race winner up in Sandown, or down in Sandown as here comes Chris Killer-Walton, pinches that right front. Did a good job to get the car stopped, actually.
Man, that guy is on the move. Obviously, he started this race last of the fast cars from our first race, and already he's picked up 2 spots, and those 2 guys are probably 2 of the hardest cars to pass in this whole series.
So good start for Chris Killer-Walton. How far up this field can he go? Oh, that was Kim Jane running a bit wide there. Bit of a strange spot to do it, so maybe he's got some kind of brake issues or something early on. We've heard no end of issues with shock absorbers around these tough curbs, and it's not just the walls at this track, George, that can kill cars.
It is not, and the thing is, to go fast here, you need to hit those curbs, and I wonder if Nathan Pretty's got his mouth guard in for this one, because definitely these guys aren't holding back, and those curbs, they're what we call a sausage curb. They're very round and very, very aggressive on the car, and it's very tough to know just how much you can take without actually bending a shock or breaking a wheel or anything like that.
There is the man we were talking about, and he's got Cedars up the inside having a look. So too is Andrew Fisher on our series leader. Got to be careful. How does Ryle Harris play this? He's got guys that are hungry for a top 3 finish behind him, a local guy in Fisher. Does he just let him through, play the points game, or does he race him?
I mean, the whole thing that Ryle Harris is going into this weekend is conserve, conserve, conserve. We're seeing a very mature Ryle Harris this season. He does look like he's got it all together, and hopefully he's just going to, I think if someone really, really wants it, he'll just let him go.
Fishtail living up to his name. Getting a little bit sideways and he's definitely he's got an issue. He's pulled over to the side of the road and Kim Jane's gone by.
Right after hitting one of those curbs, so it says to me it might be a broken shock or something like that, because the car still has drive and is still moving forward.
It sounds like on the radio chatter he's reporting of maybe a flat tyre, which is a bit unusual. He was on it pretty quick though. But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being something like a shock as well, the way that these guys are smashing these curbs.
Well, I mean, we're so early in the race here. We start with such low pressures. It's very, very easy to pinch a tyre against those curbs. And again, it's all that load that goes through the suspension is also going through those tyres. So wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Saw plenty of that happening up in the... yeah, again, I reckon Kim Jane's got something going on here. That car is really sluggish under brakes. It's either going long in the corners, not pulling it up in time, or he's having to brake a lot earlier than everyone else. We'll see how that pans out at the end of the big, long main straight as they wind them up.
In the meantime, Ryle Harris has earned himself a bit of clear space here. So he's got a nice little bit of breathing room. He's got some cotton wool around himself. He's definitely looking to protect that championship lead.
All right, well, the championship's up for grabs. A quick break. We'll resume after this. Welcome back to Sydney Olympic Park, race 2 for the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series protected by Armour All. Reece McNally is your leader, trying to claw back some points on our championship leader, Royal Harris, as Kim Jane is fighting the good fight here.
Ryan Hansford all over the back of him. We're hearing Kim Jane has a clutch issue, and around this sort of place, you're always on the thing, especially with these cars. They've got a road car gearbox and all that sort of thing, so do need to use the clutch in the gear changes, not unlike a V8 supercar.
Nice work as Chris Walton. Oh, I was holding my breath there for a second. They all gave each other a lot of room. At one point, it was looking like we might be 3 wide, trying to fit them all into one corner, but they worked it out. Now, Nathan Pretty and David Cedar is amongst this battle here. They need to try and make a few more spots up if they'd have any hope, but it's all slipping away from them right now with Royal Harris ahead of them in this race. It can pretty much scratch the names of these guys out of the championship. Pretty might be in with a shot at the end of this one. Now, what's going on here? Respez replay. Oh dear.
Into the car I drove last round. You see the Boatworks Holden spinning around there. An unfortunate victim there. Elliot's obviously just outbraked himself a little bit. Everyone else getting through nice and clean.
I appreciated Michael Arman's efforts to try and get that right. He gassed it up to try and catch it, but couldn't quite save it.
Jacques Villeneuve style.
Yes, I remember that one. Down at the hairpin.
Jacques wasn't quite so successful, I don't think.
It didn't quite work out for him.
All right, one thing I want to say is if we can see Chris Walton drive like this every race for a championship, I don't think there's a guy that can touch him. When he's on his game, that guy is untouchable. He passes with such aggression and with such, force that if he can actually pull it off for a full season, I think next year, he's going to be one of the men to watch.
You've got a very good point. He was last year's Rookie of the Year. He went over to New Zealand on a couple of occasions this year, absolutely spanked the Kiwis, comes back here, and now he's getting the job done here in Sydney this weekend. He could be a real contender for the title next year. Royal Harris, the championship leader, and the man that they're trying to chase down. Nathan Pretty, on adjusted points right now, is the only guy that'll probably be able to challenge him for the title, but it's going to be almost a walk-through job in race 3, the way they're sitting at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right. We've got the in-car with Craig Dontis as he cruises along behind Kim Jane, who we know is kind of wounded and limping his way through this race. He's going to be looking to make it as far as he can. David Cedars on the back of Nathan Pretty here. These guys, obviously, such close championship contenders. They're battling it out, but at the same time, drivers of such skill. It's good to see these guys fighting hard, fighting clean.
All right, let's see how this one's going to pan out. I wonder how David Cedars is feeling after challenging that decision up on the Gold Coast. It was probably a hiding to nothing, really. If he didn't do it, he was probably going to be 35 points away from not being able to win it anyway.
Well, I definitely thought about that. As we see Fisher here having a lock-up.
Oh, just trying to get the thing pulled up. Oh, wow, that was the shutter. Look at the rear of the...
That's the shock, man. I'm telling you, he's broken a shock on those curbs. So we can see he's limping away there. This track is so hard on these cars, and we're seeing evidence of it here in race 2.
Right, well, okay, so he's come into the pits thinking that it was a flat, and they've sent him straight back out. So that would maybe suggest that it was a broken shock, like you were saying. They didn't bother to change that tyre. This is that battle again between Pretty and Cedars. They're battling for 6 on the racetrack, and this is important for mainly Pretty because he's mathematically the guy that's going to take it to this guy right now. Just got back from Vegas, which is all right for some. He's hanging out with the Tap Out Energy crew over there, Royal Harris.
Living the life, Royal Harris. He's been going on European holidays with his fiancée, going to America with Tap Out guys. I mean, geez, what do I do? I've got to get back into Utes to have this sort of life.
What are you doing sitting next to me? You should be out there racing like you were last week down at the Gold Coast. We'll see you in the Dunlop Series here this weekend. For those playing at home, yes, this is the track where George Slick Mediki did claim his first ever Ute series event win back in 2009, so it does hold some happy memories for you.
Yeah, it does. I enjoyed this track from the moment I set foot on it. And this weekend, we're fast, but not necessarily getting the results we want. So we'll see how we go, but I'll just do my best and we'll see how it figures out.
They limp by the lap car of Fisher. The Milwaukee Power Tools car has been so strong on the street circuits this year. He was a winner in Clipsal. He was a winner in Townsville. He looked to have the speed to go on with it maybe up in the Gold Coast until that 3rd race was cancelled. This is good. Chris Walton, he's all over the back of Royal Harris. He's got past Hansford. He's charging.
You know exactly what's going through Royal Harris's mind. If Chris wants this bad, I'm going to let it happen. He's obviously got his other contenders. Got a bit of breathing space to them, obviously, with the exception of Reece up front. So I think we'll see a very cautious Royal Harris here, very taciturn Royal Harris. But Chris Walton,
no, he has nothing to lose and everything to gain here this weekend. Definitely a championship scenario is out for him in terms of the points, but he can definitely win himself a round victory. He did have a win up on the streets of Adelaide this year, had it taken away from him for pushing 1 or 2 guys out of the way on route to victory. And it's probably going to be at the run down to turn 1, where he might be able to get this job done. And Royal Harris would be a very wise young race car driver to let him go.
Well, those incidents are the opposite side of the coin for an aggressive driving style like this. Sometimes you just can't pull them off. So the things that make it so exciting are also things that make it so exciting. If you know what I mean.
He just got to stay out of trouble a bit more, Chris Walton, but he's quite happy to be the bad boy in the series. He said so himself. He likes being the cat amongst the pigeons, so to speak.
And like I said, if he can make this kind of performance a regular thing, you know, he's a real threat for the championship. It'd be great to see him up where he deserves to be.
Through the chicanes. He's going to be careful with the curbs. Doesn't want to break a shock. Doesn't want to step out of line and maybe just clip a concrete wall. It can happen so quickly around this venue. The championship is definitely not a done deal just yet.
Man, Walton's got speed on Harris, as we see down the bottom there. 3/10, 7/10, and a second over the last 3 races. So this is the man on the move, and his teammate right behind him, Ryan Hansford, not going any slower either.
There you go. He got the drive, didn't he, right then? The tap-out energy, you just swung out a little bit and up to the... Oh, it's not usually a passing spot, but Royal Harris was smart enough to let him go. It's going to leave him vulnerable, though, because now Hansford's going to want a piece of him. Everybody picks on the series leader when they're racing for a championship. Oh, he's not going to let him have it. He's going to go defensive at the end of Dawn Fraser Ave.
Such a crazy braking zone, that one. Up, down, lots of bumps in the middle. And with these cars, they actually have a servo-assisted brake pedal, so it's not actually that hard to press the brakes. So it's very easy to lock a tyre, very easy to lock a wheel. And as you're coming up and over those curbs, you find yourself varying the pressure in that braking zone. So in, out, trying to maximise the amount of braking capacity the car has.
So it's always very dangerous if you're going to go defending down there, because you could have somebody lock a brake and clean you up. That could be the end of your championship. All right, we're still sorting this one out. The streets around Sydney Olympic Park. Royal Harris is doing enough at the moment, but he's got one more race and a few more laps of this one yet to go. Final round of the championship for the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series, protected by Armour All. And that is the guy in the black Falcon Ute. It's the tap-out energy Ute, as these guys from the back are still brawling. Cedars just missing the breaking point there, maybe a bit blindsided, getting it too close to the back of...
Yeah, he's not going to let it go easily, as we see... Craig Dontis.
Respear's replay of a massive lock-up. Now, that bonnet of the Thirsty Camel Ute, bit bent as it is, actually up for auction. Just go to v8utes.com.au and there's more problems to this.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see him getting shaken around. That thing is flat. So I think that's probably one of the causes for that lockup. Be ashamed to see a guy like that out of this race. But again, our man of the match so far, Chris Walton, making huge moves. Now set his sights on Gary Baxter. One of the things now as well, these street circuits, they're like canyons for hot air. And these cars, as they move through the pack, the brakes get hotter, the engine gets hotter, and the car gets slower. But now that Walton's got clean air, a couple of laps to catch up to the back of Gary Baxter, he's going to get his brake temps under control, he's going to get his tyre temps under control. So I'll be watching out for him when he gets there.
He's been driving like a madman all weekend. He's been very fast. He was off the front row in qualifying as well. So do you reckon that maybe his tyres might be a bit shot when he gets to race 3, because we have very slim selections of tyres for the weekend? See what I mean?
And that's how you do it. One of the big things about the street circuits is because...
that's nice.
Good is that. That's as close as you can get to throwing it all away, but exactly making it perfect. So one of the things about the street circuits, because there's a bit less grip than a normal circuit, tyres actually generally last a little bit longer. It's just the heat, man. These things can't stop for such a heavy car for so long. With no cold air, the heat is the brakes, really start to suffer after a while.
We have heard reports of a few guys, the middle pedal getting a bit long towards the end of this one. With all the extra heat, there are a couple of really strong, major braking parts of this circuit as well.
I was down in Parc Ferme after qualifying, and one of the cars, the brakes caught on fire after qualifying. So there's huge amounts of heat coming through, and these things, these utes, they take a lot of effort to stop, and they've got big horsepower, big brakes, but there's still a lot of mass moving around.
Very brave drivers around this amazing little circuit as we're getting closer and closer to the walls.
Is that a team thing?
Team orders.
Chris Walton doing it, Ryan Hansford doing it. These guys are really, really pushing right to the end of this race. We're at lap 10 and 12.
Team orders were, go out there and paint the walls, boys. We're going to cause us some serious show this weekend. Royal Harris has finally got himself a bit of breathing room out there. He survived Chris Killer Walton coming through. Big shout out to Chucky Baxter this weekend. Final round for him in the championship after 11 very strong years. Hasn't even missed a round since he joined the competition a long time ago. Back in 2002, I think it was. Third overall in 04, third overall in 05, and a massive representative of the Auto 1 V8 Ute Series. And looks like he could be on for a strong second if he can hold off a very fast approaching Chris Walton with just 2 laps to go.
Well, he's only got to make 2 more laps, and part of our driver's agreement with our driver's standards stuff is that we're allowed to block in the last 2 laps. So I'll be seeing a bit of that from Chucky Baxter.
Now, this is Fonzie Mullen with some issues and getting very smoky out the back of that car. It was his birthday the other day, I think I heard somebody say, as we're riding on Hawkeye on board. We've got the beautiful Hawkeye getting around this weekend. That's Jerome McLeod getting passed by one of our championship combatants. Yeah, so he was up in the skies with Matt Hall, Red Bull pilot, recently. He passed out at 9.5 Gs, did Maverick. So maybe he's not quite living up to the Maverick nickname there.
Not quite. But as you see here on screen, Reece McNally doing the job we all expect him to do as a championship contender. Very, very smooth. You can see him calm behind the wheel. Very precise with his inputs, very crisp with his gear changes, and he's just managing that gap to the guys behind. I think he's doing a fantastic job, and all we could expect him to do.
Yeah, he was a winner of the reverse grid race up in, that was down in Sandown, actually, race number 2 in Sandown. Now, somebody's sounding very sick out there right now. It sounds like somebody maybe dropped a cylinder or something. There he goes right there. That one's sounding more like a tractor than an Auto 1 V8 Ute. These sweet X-Force exhaust systems do sound really nice around the concrete, as they did up in Surfers Paradise. Last lap now for Reece McNally. And the way that they're sitting out there is going to leave a very interesting championship scenario. Now, the Tap Out Energy guys were hoping for a 36-point lead at the end of this one to wrap up the title. It's 35 points. It's falling one measly point short.
Talk about nail biting. But again, Ryle Harris doing a fantastic job. He's obviously stabilised that gap to the car behind, which, you know, given Ryan Hansford's speed is no mean feat. So very well done to him.
Sounds like anti-lag out there when they go banging down the gears. Obviously not, because these things are natural aspirated V8s. We're not talking about World Rally cars. As we're riding on board with Reece McNally, the man who looks set to take out this second race of the week and fast part of the track. Make sure that you come home clean from here. What's it like in this situation where you just got to focus on getting the thing home?
Well, pretty much, you know, I did find that here at Homebush. I had a big lead in a couple of the races, and the biggest thing is maintaining your concentration, because this place does not take any prisoners, and you really need to keep your eyes on to make sure you can make it to the finish.
Now, this is interesting. Baxter got caught up in traffic there for a second. It looked like he was trying to get by 2 lappers at once, and it's put him back into the clutches of Chris Walton. We'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. Here we go. He's going to go blocking to the inside. He doesn't want to give up this second spot. Geez, Jerome McLeod. He's not even been given any blue flags at the moment, so I don't know what's going on there, but he's definitely getting his hands dirty with a real battle behind him.
Yeah, it's a bit average from Jared. He should be pulling over to the side and making moves for these guys. They're fighting on the last lap of the last race for a podium position, so you see Reece McNally pulling across the start-finish line to a well-deserved win.
Yeah, that was a tape to checkers win for Reece McNally. A pretty convincing one, actually, and doing what he could for the championship. But with this guy coming home where he is, that's going to rule out a few more championship contenders. Ryle Harris doing enough so far this weekend, but because Nathan Pretty finished 2 spots behind him, this one technically is going to go to the final race of the weekend. So watch this space.
You don't often see the lights flashing for a 4th place finish, but I guarantee you Ryle knows exactly what he did just then.
So McNally claiming a win, just like he did here back in 2011.
Well, Reece, you've claimed a victory. I guess that championship, you're really searching for that podium, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. You know, qualifying this morning definitely didn't go to plan. We qualified 13th, which was, you know, pretty terrible on our behalf. So, you know, obviously we picked a few off in the first race and to start from pole and sort of lead the whole race. You know, it was really good and scored some vital points. So, fingers crossed we're still in with a shot and, you know, sort of clawed back a few from this morning's efforts.